Should you have background music in your video? Should you use sound effects? What's better? What keeps people around? What's going to help your channel grow faster? Let's find out. Hey everybody, Mike Kramer here. I'm helping people over 40 start and grow a YouTube channel or pivot away from your paycheck and do more creative things. If you've been called to create and especially have that desire to be on YouTube, join the crowd along with me and hopefully this community that we're going to build. I want to talk about something interesting that I found with background music. So if you're an overthinker like me, you might have said, you know what? Do I need background music on my channel? Like I'm watching some videos, people have it. And when I Google it or look it up on Reddit, everyone's saying, yeah, you should have background music. It's going to make you look more professional as long as it's, unlicensed, whatever it's called, free public use music. And others are like, oh no, it's very distracting. It's hard to understand your words. You're going to mix it too loud and blah, blah, blah. And don't do music. It's stupid. And who's right? Who's wrong? This is really a subjective thing. It depends on the person. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. What I recommend you do is think about the niche you're in and the kind of channels you want your channel to be like and make a spreadsheet or write it on paper. And this is what I did. And I wrote down about 10 channels that I'm similar to or want to be sort of like, right? And they're not all perfect. You're going to find your own kind of niche within all that. But I wrote down 2 columns and I said, do they have background music and do they use sound effects? And what I'd recommend doing is go to these channels. Let me just share my screen real quick. We'll just use my channel since it's up, but it's going to default to latest. And that's not bad because it's showing you what they're doing most recently. Actually, I don't know if it defaults to latest, but I would say click on latest, see what they're doing most recently, click on it. And for this video, for example, I did use background music, but it's not doing well. And this one for my new pivot, my new niche, so to speak, is just these 3 videos. Because before that I did cybersecurity and I think I had background music then. They did all right. This one out of my 3 is the best so far. And I did not do background music, but I wouldn't go off yourself. Go off these other bigger channels. And what I found was pretty interesting. I had a list of ones that were in my niche really close and some that were outside. And I looked at the ones that were really popular. And I sorted it by the number of subs they had and views, I think. I looked at the latest. So this is what you want to do is when you evaluate, when you say yes or no for that channel, because you don't want to confuse yourself, like yes, do they use background music? Yes, do they use sound effects? It's 2 separate columns. I would look at their latest videos, just browse through like 2 of them, watch the beginning, and then click around in the middle a little. It's better to watch the whole thing. I'm not trying to screw up people's algorithms, but for research, it's not bad to do this. And also look at their most popular videos. So not just their latest, definitely don't look at their oldest because they may not have used any kind of special effects or anything in their old ones. But look at their latest and look at their most popular. I'd watch at least these two latest, the first 2 of the popular, to see if those channels used sound effects and or background music. And again, I tracked those as 2 separate columns. And what I saw when I sorted through the least popular channels or smallest channels, I should say, to the biggest channels with the most subs, is it was going no. Like nobody had background music or sound effects. And then as I got into the bigger channels with more subs, more subscribers, I started to see, yes, they use background music. And yes, they use sound effects. And so I kept going. And there was about 4 more channels up until I think the biggest one I looked at has 3 million subscribers or something. But then it was like, I wish I had this sheet in front of me. It's on my other computer. But it was, the top was like 3 million or 3.5 million subscribers. This next was like 1 million. And then the one after that was like, I think there were a couple around 1 million. Then there was one around 400,000, 100,000. And then everyone else was below that because I'm kind of looking at these smaller channels. I'm not trying to be some big, huge media conglomerate that appeals to everybody. I just have my audience and we'll see where it goes, right? But then, so I'm thinking, wow, all the bigger channels are using background music and all the bigger channels are using sound effects. But then I paid a little more attention and I kept going. And the biggest channel doesn't use any background music. I don't mean the biggest one on YouTube, just the ones I was researching. And I checked their latest, I checked their most popular, and none of them have background music. And I was listening for sound effects. And one of the bigger channels did have a few sound effects, but they're kind of rare and mostly at the beginning of the video. And another video had, it was interesting, they had background music in the intro for about somewhere between 10 and 30 seconds. And it was quiet. And then it would fade out, and the rest of the video, 8, 10, 20 minutes, no background music and no sound effects. So I don't want to say the results were all over the place, but and some had background music, but it was kind of rarely used in their videos, and others had sound effects, but they were rarely used in their videos. Oh no! And what I mean is, like, not even all their videos had them, and if they did, it was minimal use of background music or sound effects. So for my niche of like people helping others grow on YouTube and stuff like that, I'd say the vast majority do not have background music and do not have sound effects. Now, some of the bigger channels definitely had one or both of those, but they used them sparingly. They were very quiet, and a lot of them just used it in the intro. So do whatever feels right to you, but I'd say definitely if you're going to use background music, make sure it's quiet and put it even lower than you think. The general rule of thumb is when you're mixing, your voice should hit around minus 6 dB. Some people mix it a little higher, some a little lower, but somewhere around -5, -6 dB is the highest your voices should peak. And then background music should be like -12 dB or even lower. You never want it, I'd say even maybe like a -15. If you're going to use background music, you want it to be kind of this, you don't notice it. If you're having a hard time understanding what people are saying or what you're saying on video when you're editing, that's a big red flag. Drop it a lot lower then. Or just don't use background music, because what I found was a lot of really big channels just don't use it. And some high production ones might, but even then, again, it's very quiet or it's just at the beginning. So thought that was pretty interesting. For me, I think I'm going to keep mine out of it. It's just something extra to add. And I was making my own on a keyboard and whatnot, but it's, because it's me, it's not great. And I figured, what's more fun is my short clips of me playing bass, I put at the end of my videos. So I'll do that. And it's really what do they call that? The end screen, where you can subscribe or watch another video. I'm going to do that with an end screen and play some of the music that I've made playing bass, just goofy riffs and stuff like that. So, but I am not going to do background music throughout my videos, and maybe I'll do a little bit of sound effects, but those get really annoying too. Keep in mind, you want to keep those down. There was somebody I was watching, and I liked the video a lot and the content, but they kept, for every bullet point they were putting on the screen, they had this really loud like slap or gunshot, or just, it was something really annoying. I don't remember what it was. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I bailed because it was so loud and ridiculous. Or I muted it and watched the rest. So just keep that in mind. Like, people they want the content. They're searching for something. They don't need necessarily the sound effects and the background music and all that stuff. They're trying to learn something and listen and hope maybe even connect with you in a community sense. And I don't know if background music and weird sound effects are going to help with that so much. So, and the good news there is not only is it then more authentic and a little more realistic and less produced, but it's easier for you as an editor to not have to add all that stuff in. So it's really what slowed me down, even just adding the bullet points that were moving in my cybersecurity videos. You could watch some of them in this channel if you're bored. And even those just took me a while, because you have to add them, you have to listen to what I was talking about and go, oh, because I didn't always go off a script. And so and even if I did, you don't know where in the video I was saying it. So I had to go find it and then update the video to be in sync with while I was talking. It was just a lot of extra work. So, and that wasn't even, there was no sound effects. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I'd say general recommendation is no. If you do it, keep them very quiet. It's probably not going to hurt, honestly, but I'd say why bother, and just don't put background music or sound effects in there unless it's something that your channel really, really needs, because it's entertainment or comedic value or something like that. So I hope that helps. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.